Welcome! Denis Labrecque here, and continuing our theme of HTML tags, we will analyze forms. I want to warn you up front here that this tutorial is not on handling the data from forms, but it's rather how to create forms in HTML. So creating places in your web page where users can add input. Sorry. So what we'll learn, we'll start with the form tag and see what two attributes are absolutely necessary to have, and what the method attribute value can be. So here we have a basic form layout. So anytime you'll have a form, you'll want to have the form tag. That would be absolutely necessary. Now field set and legend are rather optional, but this is what it gives. So the field set is this box around here, and the legend is the little text point that you see there. So if I put a title to my legend, here we go. So this is how it would appear pre-formatted, and this is the title, the legend and the field set are not absolutely necessary for form, but you might as well have them as they indicate logical subdivisions of your form. So before we get started on making our form, I just want to show you the action tag, or the action attribute. And action is where you'll pay, once the user has sent the data in his form to you, the action is where his data will be posted. And that would be a web page that you'll send the data to, and where he'll land also, once he's finished filling out the material. So you'll have to include an action tag for a form. That's absolutely necessary. Now for method, I won't use it for my tutorial though. For method, you would use get or post, and there are others also. But for this tutorial, we'd use get. Get is when you want to send data through the URL here. So you'll see, as I have tested it already, I have a question mark, my name equals value, and name equals value. So that's how you get the raw data you would receive through your script. And post would be when users have to send documents. Okay, so we're ready to start with our input tags. So input, you've guessed it, it's how you add a place to input information into your form. So you use type, because there are many input types, and we'll go over that in a moment. We'll write type equals checkbox, and you'll see in the web page that I have a little checkbox here. Now obviously that's not complete. You need some sort of information, so I'll just add another input type equals checkbox, and yet another. Now checkboxes mean that you can select all or none of the options. So how you'd do that is, let's say you'd identify them, what you've eaten today. And here you would write a label. Label is especially to label your checkboxes or radio boxes or whatever you want. And labels have a special for attribute that I'll show you in a moment. So now we'll write ham eggs and cereal, which is what I ate this morning. And keep touching my trackpad. Okay, so you write for equals, and I forgot to show you what this does. Here I write an ID. Now an ID is exactly like a class in HTML, for the only exception that an ID appears but once on a web page, whereas classes could occur indefinitely. So ID is only for one object. So I'll write here ham as an ID. Well, not to be confusing, we'll write check ham. Okay? And we'll write in this label tag, we'll write the label is for this input box, of which the ID is ham. So remember that there's only one ID per input box, so that way it's sure this label will be for this input box. So we wrote for choose ham or check ham, and what this does, let me just make this list appear. You'll see here that I have my checkbox that I can check uncheck, but when I click on the ham text is linked to the checkbox. So that's why we get this capacity to check uncheck. Now you would want to give your values, your checkboxes, a name. And name will specify what question you are answering. So we'll write what eaten, and we can just copy this name here. And what that'll do is that once you receive the information, you'll know you'll know what you were talking about when that person answered, what that check mark means. Now, I made a little mistake compared to radio tags. I'm thinking of radio tags here. But your name would have to be individual for each checkbox. And value is what the answer is once you checked on the box. And that value could be has eaten. And that value, well, it could be the same for all of them. Here. No. I'm trying to think of what. Okay. So let's just add a submit button. So this is input type equals submit. And the submit query will go down here. So once, let's say I check ham and I submit the query. You'll see here that my URL has changed, and this is the name of my page, and past the question mark, remark what happens here. I have ham equals has eaten. So that means that ham has been checked. Now if I did submit query without ham being checked, you'll see I have no value because nothing has been checked yet. But you'll see that ham, if my input is here, this has nothing to do with what value is sent, but name is the name of my question, and that goes in the first blank, and equals is value, and that's has eaten. So once this is checked, it has a value of has eaten. So it may look a bit weird to you, but that's basically how it works. Now I have to show you also radio buttons, because radio buttons are very similar but somewhat different. So I won't put a label for these, but I'll just put input type equals radio. This keyboard is small. Okay. So we're going to have two radio buttons, and you would always need at least two radio buttons or more, but not too many, because your question must be a clear yes or no answer. We'll put here yes and no, just for the sake of demonstration. Now if I put a name to this, we'll say smoker. So do you smoke would be a clear yes and no question. And once I refresh this, I get a yes and no. So if I write yes and submit query, you'll notice I haven't put a value for my yes here, as we had done for a value over here. I could put a value of yes and a value of no. However, you'll notice that automatically I have smoker equals on. That's because I chose my first one and the value is smoker. If I choose my second one, it still won't guess, so it's still going to be smoker on. So I could change my names like non-smoker or smoker and non-smoker. But for this tutorial, I'll write value equals, and I'll write yes. I'll write value equals no. So therefore, it'll make it very clear once I receive my form. If I check yes and submit the query, now I have smoker equals yes, and then smoker equals no. So notice we have two types. Just make it, I'll put a break here so that we can see better. Okay, we have two sets of options. So if I choose hams, eggs, cereal, and write no, submit query, you'll see that this gets quite confusing, but you have hams equals has eaten, and, so this is a name, this is the value, first value, this is a check mark here. Now eggs equals has eaten also, because we checked this one, and then cereal equals has eaten. Notice that if we had not checked them, they just don't appear. And smoker equals no. Notice that for a smoker, I could either have a value of smoker equals yes or smoker equals no, but I couldn't have both. Which makes sense. So that's how radio buttons and input tags work. Now, won't that just disappear? Yeah, so this is the number of input tags you can actually have. So as you see, there are quite a few of those. We have a button, we have a checkbox, which we just used. We have a nice nifty color input, and we have all of these. However, I want to take a bit more time to discuss them, so I'm just going to invite you to skip to my next video, and we're going to talk about these in a moment. Thank you very much.